All right, I figured I'd start off with the ground here, explain a little bit about what we've got, something normal before we get into the crazy greenhouse. But I'm into repurposing stuff, so these are all repurposed pallets here, and they're treated with a biodegradable, eco-friendly wood stain to be a nice pretty red. As you guys can see there, it's not quite Martha Stewart Garden Sunset Magazine, but it's looks pretty good, especially for free, and we're repurposing. We got our little animals and stuff here, our lizards. We've got these tea stakes that we put in the ground just to kind of mark off. This is a 10 by 10 foot garden. We got some chicken wire to help keep out some of the squirrels and stuff like that, the animals. It's buried in the ground, as you guys can see on my Instagram, which is BC Gardening Guy, B as in boy, C as in cat. And I showed you guys a video of how we designed that and why. So it's pretty rodent proof there. We're not too worried about rodents in the ground because of the baskets, which we'll get into, but I've got a good layer of cardboard underneath here. Let's just come in and I'll show you guys. We open this up here. Down below we got cardboard that's buried to help suppress the weeds. I generally like to do about 6 inches, but this whole COVID-19 thing, it didn't really work out for me to get free wood chips, so I had to buy some. But yeah, we don't have to really worry too much with these gardens for things like gophers and things like that, because it's all wire baskets. And now that I gave you guys the ground cover, well, let's finish up, I guess. We got a trellis here made out of 1/2 inch conduit pipe. It's just these little 45-degree angle pieces you can get at any hardware store. You just loosen up these screws right here, insert your pipe, tie them off. It's pretty strong. And it's galvanized steel, so one of my main things here is for strength, but also for eco-friendly. We've got our trellises tied up with some jute plant, some burlap rope. I can't remember the name of the other product, but it's also natural fibers, and it's pretty cool. We got a whole bunch of new things, some innovations we're doing to get rid of plastics. This rope seems to be holding up. It's been here all summer. It's getting a little frayed, but it looks good. Maybe I should talk to you guys about the baskets next here. You can see here, I'll pick this one up and turn it upside down for you. You can see that there's moisture underneath. I don't know if I want to flip this one too much around, but you can see that the burlap is starting to degrade, but it's holding its integrity with the wire here that holds it together. So not too bad. I think another important thing, if you guys are going to garden like I'm doing here, you got to have some sort of ground cover to keep everything nice and level. Otherwise the water, you can see if your baskets are tilted, sometimes the water is going to want to go off to one side. And this is all automatic irrigation here, drip irrigation. So many details to share with you guys. It could take hours of your time, but everything's automated here. I can show up once a week, and the only problems I'm having with everything in the open here is ants and birds as today. I'll just jump into that one. So I got this beautiful tomato bush right here, and because we're out in the open, the birds just came in and started munching half of all my tomatoes, and we're going to end up putting a bird net around this whole thing to make it like an aviary. And I can show you guys here too. We got ants that are bringing in the aphids. We had whitefly. I sprayed those with neem oil. They kind of left us alone a little bit. You can see there's some ants right there. They just keep coming. So it's very difficult to garden with nature when you're on the ground. We got something completely different in that greenhouse that we're going to take you guys in. But the whole purpose of this thing has been so that we can have something that's biodegradable, earth-friendly. These baskets can literally be dumped inside of a compost just like they are. The burlap, everything will rot. You're left with just the basket there, and you can refill that, reline it with a burlap, and keep going. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about what I've got going on in here. We've got some lemongrass. This was just a cutting from the grocery store that ended up making the soup pot, and it's doing fantastic. I propagated that in a jar of water. We got some Queen of Cyan. This was a cutting we just stuck in the dirt, just a branch, and look at it now. It's just huge. I'm growing a lot of stuff for seed here for next year. And I'd like to say that we are in North County, San Diego, California, and I believe it's the 14th of September. we just had a heat wave that blasted through, and that's why some of my plants look a little dried up and hit. You can see like that tomato right there got burned. Some of my jalapenos, everything that was facing the sun, they all just got this big skin. You can see right here, big skin that just got burnt. But yeah, let me run you guys through. We've got some cucumbers. We got our tomatoes, of course. Those are a determinate, and we've got, that thing's loaded. And if you go inside there, man, there's like, if you guys can see, there's tomatoes everywhere in there. Didn't have much luck with the butternut squash. We got started late this year growing, but we're just growing for seed, and everything did get blasted by the sun. Next over here, we got a beefsteak, I believe. There's the sunburn. You can see everything that was shaded did relatively well. This one here is an experiment grown in a plastic container. We're trying to get rid of plastic, but I wanted to show the root ball system and what happens, how it gets tied up in contrast to growing in burlap, where it's root pruning. I'm sorry, air pruning. And the roots will come out, and once they touch the air, they will actually cauterize, and the plant has less stress, but it doesn't wind itself into a knot. So pretty soon we're gonna have a video to show you guys on that. But we got some marigolds in here, and we got some oregano. That's right here for the soups. Everything's kind of growing hard on each other. We got some French, if I take you guys in there, you can see, what are those radishes? And they're like 3 times the size of my fingers. Very healthy. We got some ruby Swiss chard. We've got some jalapenos, as you guys saw there. This thing's just loaded. You guys can see there, it's loaded. There's probably about 20 at least peppers on there. We got some German thyme for soups here. We had some bell peppers that, again, got destroyed by the sun. There was so many bell peppers on here, I had to cut it off, but it just took the plant over on its side from the weight. We're in our experimental stages here. We got some tomato bushes. This is grown in a 5-gallon container. This is a 7.5, and this one is a 10. And we're just trying to see the growth. So far, we can see a lot better. Again, later on in the season, we can see a lot better growth with the 10-gallon there compared to the 7 and the 5. We've got some wonderful lemon cucumbers that we just brought in here. See if we can grow some before the season's over for seed. So that's the outside garden. Definitely going to have to wrap it up from the birds and see if we can do something about that. Well, let me take you guys inside the greenhouse here. And we've got a bunch of stuff going on here. So here's where it gets a little different and a little weird. We're basically, what I'm trying to do is grow without harming nature, without being at war with nature. I don't know if you guys can see the bird netting here. We got it on both sides. They were coming in eating my tomatoes because it gets dry out here this time of year, and I guess there's nothing for them to eat, so they'll actually come in and start munching on tomatoes. They just love them. Since we did that, you guys can see we've had no problems really whatsoever on the tomatoes. But we grow pretty much everything you would in a normal garden. We just grow it up high. So if I take you guys down here, we had a string that was hanging down, and I had to pull it down. I don't know if you guys can see all the ants. So we had tons of ants. I'll see if I can pull that video up for you guys. But they found a little piece of burlap string, and they ended up climbing. You can see them all freaking out here. They're all trying to find that rope, a place to get out. But the trick is what we have here is axle grease behind, around the perimeters of all of our poles. That goes all the way down on all of these. And the ants just don't want to cross the grease, so they pretty much leave our plants alone. So as long as we can keep up on them, we don't really have an ant problem here in biodegradable container gardening. We've eliminated that problem. We've also lifted these things about 3 feet high, and we've eliminated the mice and rats from coming in and also eating our tomatoes. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. Also, some of the plants that are planted up higher are less likely to get powdery mildew spores on them. What I've learned is that the spores can jump up to like 5 feet, I think it was. So as long as you got some distance on them, you should be pretty good. We don't really have much of a problem with too much of the powdery mildew here. Here I got a red curry squash. I think this is Japanese. You can see we got a little bit of powdery mildew, and we've been experimenting with some stuff on that. But as long as we come in here and spray once a week, Mondays is usually my day, like today, we'll do neem oil or spinosad. We don't really have to worry about too much of these molds and stuff like that. But I'll try to take you guys around here and see if I can think of some other reasons why. Well, basically, as you guys can probably imagine, we don't have problems with gophers, and snails won't even climb over the grease. We've also eliminated the problem with the earwigs. They don't come in here, so we're pretty much safe. And there's not much to do. There's not very much weeding because we start out with our own soils mixed with vermiculite, perlite, worm castings, and some compost, peat moss, coconut coir, whatever you want. It's a very high soil holding lots of very high moisture content retention in there. So it lasts very long. We don't have that much watering we really need to do. And also it starts fresh, so we don't really have much weeding to do. Every once in a while, you know, you come in here, you guys can see right here, you just come in here and grab your little weed and just pull it out, chop and drop, you know, permaculture style. But maybe I might take you guys in here. We've got beans growing. This is early in the season. We've got zucchini. You guys can see in here, we harvested a lot. We're down in fall right now, but our peppers are just doing immensely. Look at this, the size of my fist. It's bigger, about the same size. And doing wonderful. We've got some more peppers up here and some beans. We got some dragon's tongue beans over here. You can see the pretty purple flowers. We've got some of this stuff. I can't remember what it is called. It's a wild parslin. Parslin here. It's kind of nutty. It's one of the best wild herbs I think I've ever tasted. One of the best. And that goes good in soups and stuff. It grows crazy here. You can see in the hanging system, if I can get you guys around, we got tons of jalapenos hanging off this thing. We've harvested some of them off, harvested. Yeah, we had tons of tomatoes off here, not as good as what we wanted, but I think we got started late and had some weak species. If you look on this side, we harvested a lot, but it doesn't really look too good. But if I take you to the other side, I can show you one that's just completely loaded. So it all depends. So if I lift this up, there's probably, I'd say about 40 tomatoes growing on this entire bush. They're just everywhere, tucked inside. So that came out really good. If you guys see this was an experiment here this year. Worked out really well, except for the spiders. This one's just loaded with tomatoes. I'm gonna take you guys in here. You guys can see what's nice is they kind of just hang down like grapes. So I don't know if you guys can see in there, but this thing is loaded with tomatoes. No trellis needed. We're just letting that stuff just kind of fall down. It also shades so that we could do different microcosms in here. We got bok choy growing. You guys can see in there. We got some arugula. It's stuff that's, there's some really mature arugula here, but we got a lot of stuff for fall crops, you know, such as calabria and things like that, and kale. And they're just coming in right now, so it's going to take a while for there's something to show. Again, I do a lot of stuff for seeds. Here's some coriander or cilantro, whatever you guys want to call it there. We got some horsetail for some experiments that we're doing. This is beautiful. This is a lemon gem, edible marigolds. They're like a minty, citrusy flavor. Really tasty. I really love the way it's like a jungle in here. When you just come over there, and it's not even at full growth. Next year's going to be twice as good. But yeah, we got some Churchill Brussels sprouts and some beets, things like that. There's some more kale. We got some calabria back there. Our Ford chard has just been delicious for soups. We got some mustard greens growing. We got some dumpling squash here. This is a little exotic kind, I think, from Japan. My favorite, baby bok choy. We got some tangerine gem marigolds here. Same thing, but they got a more of an orange flavor. And yeah, that's it. We got some wild California flowers here for the bees. You guys can see that. We got a bunch of stuff in the back. Lots of experiments. We harvest our celery stalks and we leave the hearts and just stick them in the ground. And as you guys can see, they don't look too bad to me. We got some bunching onions here. They're coming out good. We have some microgreen spinach. It's coming out just spectacular. More bok choys. I'm a bok choy fanatic if you can't tell. Some ruby red chard here. We got the bees over here loving on this oregano that's going to seed. I grew way too much basil this year. I got all kinds of different types in here. You can see that bok choy is just popping right there. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. There's a lot to talk about. I'm sure you guys have questions. We're growing with nature. We're not having to disturb it. Last thing I'll leave you is that this thing is like a soil tractor. We've got 8 inches of wood mulch in here. We have mushrooms and stuff growing. If you dig down, the earth is just really soft. There's tons of worms in there. As you guys can see, some of the drippings that come off the plants. Get you guys in here. See those little dark spots? That's worm castings and juice going in the ground. So literally when we remove this and go to another location, we left this place better than the way we found it. As we walk, you can see on the trails, we're busting up the wood chips and just creating a bunch of yummy goodness here and getting able to eat out of it. And a lot less effort. I think there's so much that when you look at this, if you're handicapped, you can design these things to whatever comfortable height. As you can see, I'm 6'4", so I can reach up to this one, reach down to that one. There's no more bending over, a lot less water, hardly any weeding. You can grow stuff. You can encapsulate this whole place with some bug cloth or something, and you won't literally have to do hardly anything. I show up once a week here on a regular basis, and there's not much to do but harvest. And I'm very excited to share with you guys. And we're going to get you guys some videos soon on how to actually build these baskets and how to get started and why. So I'm Adrian Babshoff. Thanks for watching Biodegradable Container Gardening. I can't wait to put the videos out for you guys. Hopefully this helps and gives you guys, especially you who've tried gardening and you just had so many problems, this is going to solve a lot for you, make life a lot easier. You can be a very busy individual like I am and still grow your own food and do it in harmony with nature. I guess I'm super excited, man. I can't wait to do more videos. See you guys on the next one. Thanks.